Okay. Hmm. Back to it. We're about 4,500 HP down. I would have just paused after he sent out his tongue, and I dodged it and came back here, so we should be about to do his top eye laser. I said yesterday that my goal for today would be to get him down to 200,000, which would be about 13,000 damage. That would be ideal. I'm not going to do that on one stream, of course. But I would feel good about the pace we're making if we could get him down to 200,000 today. I hate when the Moonlord, like, I don't even know how to describe it, strafes when he's firing his top eye laser, and hits you, due to moving his head. Also, this is currently the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack that's playing. What I'll be interested about is how well we can. It'll be weird because as of right now I don't actually know how well I'm going to be able to damage his left hand. I assume I've set it up the same way. I assume it's going to work the same as damaging the right hand. But I don't know if there's going to be some small nuance that's going to make it different. Or if it's going to be... I'm damaging both his left hand and his right hand right now. His left hand is down about 1,500, his right hand is down about 3,000. Which means I'm dealing about 2/3 of my damage to the right hand and 1/3 of my damage to the left hand. Which means I will probably want to switch hands when it's at about 1/3 of its HP left on the right, so that I don't unevenly damage them. Oh, this music's kind of loud. Let me turn that down a little bit. There we go. He just fired his laser, so he's going to send out his tongue. Hey, Pivot. I was mildly annoyed the other day. Somebody had, in the comments of one of the Subnautica streams I had done, just spoiled, like, the entire game. Entire game's plot. I didn't read most of the comment, but I read a small amount of it. And it's somewhat lessened my interest in continuing to play the game until I just get in the mood again. Hey, Foxy. I've gotten a lot better at dealing my DPS, I've noticed. How long has this been going already? Collectively, about 5 hours. Today, it's only been going for 5 minutes. But I did about 5 hours yesterday. Yeah, it's gonna take a long time. And that's an understatement. I plan to just be streaming a bunch until I kill him. At pretty much whenever I can, which is why I'm currently streaming at 8 a.m. Why I'm currently awake at 8 a.m. and not still in bed, is I want to knock out as many hours of doing this each day as I can until he dies. I'm trying to think of what I'd like to do after I plan on doing the core. The same way I'm doing everything else. You see that teleporter down there? I'm gonna wire up that teleporter, so I can teleport down on top of the core and then deal damage to it. Same thing with the top eye. If you see that, it's a bit tough to see now, but that teleporter up there. And it's the same thing for the left hand. There's a teleporter right there. Same setup as over here, just on the left. Hey, Beluga. The main thing is I'd like to finish this before 1.4.5 comes out. And without knowing when that is, it puts kind of an indeterminate time crunch on things. Thanks, via QGX. Took me a minute to read the small things there. Man, I love, what's your guys' favorite flavor of muffin? Personally, I'm very partial to cinnamon muffins, followed by, like, lemon poppy seed muffins. I went, muffin diving at the grocery store the other day. You know, there were muffins on sale. So I went to the grocery store. My sister dropped me off, and I went inside to, you know, dive around for some muffins. And I picked up some cinnamon muffins. They were all gone by the next morning. I had both of them that same day. So those are those jumbo bakery muffins that you get. Love those things. I don't always eat breakfast, but when I do, it'll usually... Why is he not shooting boulders? This is don't dig up, not get fixed, boy. Like, the breakfast foods I eat will usually be restricted to either bagels or muffins. And I don't eat muffins that much, but sometimes. Muffins are expensive is the thing. Bagels, I'll usually go for just... And I usually just like plain bagels with strawberry cream cheese. I'm fine with plain cream cheese too, but I usually prefer strawberry. I can go with butter, but I would prefer cream cheese. I'm fine with everything bagels too. I'll have everything bagels sometimes with butter, of course, not with cream cheese. I'm not really a huge fan of other bagel flavors beyond that, though. I mean, if I go to like a Panera bread or something, I might get a different bagel flavor. Maybe like a chocolate chip or like a cinnamon crunch bagel or something. But I don't really even consider those to be like breakfast foods. That's more of just like a dessert treat. You're just eating a bagel loaded full of chocolate chips. And I usually won't go there in the morning. Making eggs is just too much work in the morning, I found. Because you gotta wash dishes and, like, actively cook the egg. I don't know. I just don't like washing dishes, and I do not need to wash dishes to make a toaster bagel. Whereas I do need to wash a dish. Especially because I only have two pans to cook things on. So there's no, like, leaving a dish to be washed later or something. It's, adds a lot of work to trying to cook anything small. Best breakfast food would always be French toast. I never make French toast for breakfast, but I make French toast a lot for, like, dinner. The thing is, whenever I make French toast, I go hard into making French toast. I'm gonna be eating, like, 6 or 7 slices of French toast. And I'll usually have that as, like, just like a full meal for dinner. So I usually have light breakfasts, if any. And French toast is also a lot more work to make. You gotta get the bowl, you gotta whip together, you know, some milk, cinnamon and things in another dish. Then you gotta, cook them on the pan itself. I guess there's really just one extra dish involved. But... Hey, David. Yeah, I do like French toast a lot. Although, one thing I take issue with, regarding a lot of breakfast foods, is that a lot of breakfast foods are not breakfast foods. They are just glorified desserts. Okay? Like, the amount of sugar and sweets put into a lot of breakfast foods, they're not, they're desserts. They're not food. Breakfast cereals are particularly bad here. But, like, I remember getting some, like, crumb cake for dessert. Some cinnamon crumb cake. And reading on the package that it's great for dessert or for breakfast. Like, bitch, pick one. It's not breakfast and dessert. It's one or the other. The two are not interchangeable. Stuff like pancakes for breakfast is crazy. I think it depends what's in the pancake. Like, just a plain pancake topped with, like, fruit or strawberries or something is not that bad. But if you're getting, like, a pancake loaded full of chocolate chips and peanuts and stuff like that, that's just a glorified dessert. Especially, like, showered in, like, really sugary maple syrup. I usually go for, like, the more expensive maple syrup that you use in moderation that you get in the glass bottles. But, like, stuff like Mrs. Butterworth? I don't remember. That stuff is so unhealthy. Especially, there's fucking, like, Captain Crunch, Blueberry Crunch maple syrup that I saw in the breakfast aisle the other week. Like, sugary syrup to put on waffles or pancakes or things like that, that is just like Captain Crunch berry flavored. The whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day thing, though, is also just a complete scam. Like, that's just a marketing campaign. That's not really true. That's just there to convince you to eat another meal to spend more money on things. How much time do I get set back if I let him heal? Anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. This is why I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure he doesn't heal. We're on the pace of about 1,000 damage an hour. That's our... That's our damage per hour. Compare that to the fact that, when fighting the Moonlord with normal weapons, you would probably be doing, at least 1,000 DPS, if you have anything resembling damage buffs on your build. I don't know. I also had a, I do this a lot with food, and I would recommend doing it. It's gonna get a lot slower when you start healing more frequently. This is going to be the slowest part of the run. No, David, because my DPS is not going to be the same on all of his segments. My DPS is going to be the lowest against the hands because I cannot consistently hit the hands. The hands spend most of their time outside of my area of being able to damage them. Whereas the core and the head, like if I sit still here, the head lines itself up right there. The core lines itself up right there. I can hit those. They're not moving around, which means I'll be able to deal a lot more DPS to those segments. So my damage, once I'm done with the hands, should go up quite a lot. I should basically be able to deal damage constantly, except when I'm dodging the tongue. Whereas here, I'm dealing damage, I don't know, 20% of the time, maybe? They spend so much time off screen, and when I do hit them, I only hit them like once or twice. So yes, the floor, like absolute worst case scenario would be like 200 hours, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think our damage is going to be a lot higher once we get through these. Yeah, I do this, I've been doing this a lot for food recently, and I'd recommend doing it, especially if you are at the point where you're, this goes out to people that are like 18, 19, 20, early 20s. Oh yeah, I'm gonna edit this into a video, but we're a long ways from that. I'd recommend assessing whether you or not you actually enjoy eating a food that you're just used to eating. Like, sitting there, tasting it, and acknowledging, do I actually like the flavor of this thing? Or have I just conditioned my body to want to eat it? Or does my body crave it even though I don't actually like it that much? Because food science is a nefarious thing that essentially just tries to trick your body into craving and wanting things, even if they don't even taste that good. It happened to me like a month ago. I was eating like Nestle Toll House refrigerated chocolate chip cookies, and I was eating them, and I was like, this cookie doesn't taste very good. This is not a very good cookie. It has this weird undertaste to it that's not good, and the flavor itself is kind of mid. Why am I eating this again? Why am I spending money buying this thing? I don't like it. It's a similar thing with, like, a lot of soft drinks and sodas. Like, the actual flavor of them is not that good. They're just so, like, high in sugar and high fructose corn syrup that your body really wants to drink them. And it can do a lot in cutting out really unhealthy things from your diet. And just avoiding wasting money, because a lot of these foods are like just wastes of money. I'm at the point of commissioning an artist for a thumbnail for the Lawnmower only video, though. I was looking into that earlier. I'll probably go with the guy that I commission him a lot on Skeb. The one that's drawn like most of the art that I've used on my channel for like thumbnails or just like random pictures and things. From the Rain World Expedition video, the guy who drew the thumbnail for that. We're at 400 HP down so far today. So, I think my plan is going to be to stream 3 times today. And my goal is going to be to get him down to 200,000 HP by the end of the day. And if I'm going to do 3 streams, he started with about 213,000. So I'm going to need to do a little over 4,000 damage a stream to knock him down to that level. I will see how I feel after about 3,000 damage. My initial plan was to do about 10,000 damage per day. But I need to see how up to it I feel after a full day of doing this. The faster I can do damage, the faster we get over with this. So it's important to deal as much as I can. I also need to decide what I'm going to make for the cooking stream, because I think I will probably reach that by the time I finish killing the Moonlord with a lawnmower. If I don't, I'm definitely going to reach it by the time I make the video for killing the Moonlord with a lawnmower. Because last I checked, I was only like 90 subscribers away from 10k. I think I'll probably make like a chicken pot pie. I don't know. I like chicken pot pie a lot. And while the pie is cooking, I could probably make like a side dish or something for like 40 minutes. And I can't wait for YouTube to randomly pause my music playlist and not give me any notification that that happened. And then cause me to have to Alt-Tab to re-click it and restart it. I love when it does that. That's my favorite part about playing music from YouTube. We're probably going to reach the, I talked with this with Michael a while ago when we were doing the Destroyer. You went away from watching YouTube for a while. I was on Skeletron, was still here. Yes. Yes. It is, in fact, very slow trying to kill the Moonlord. Or trying to beat the game, but specifically kill the Moonlord with a lawnmower. As this is... I've said this before, but it is basically the entire length of the entire game before now. Again, just to kill the Moonlord. Yeah, I was talking about this with Michael a while ago. The reason that the heart statue occasionally bugs out and removes the limit of hearts that you spawn from it is because of, once you reach a certain number of dropped items in the world, not the limit, but like, I think a couple hundred items like on the ground that are not picked up. Hold on. The music is now very quiet. Okay. Like a couple hundred items dropped on the ground. I feel like the volume consistency for the Risk of Rain soundtrack is a lot different than the other ones I've put on. Because it feels like it goes from really quiet lows to really loud highs. Yeah, after a certain number of dropped items in the world, it ignores the built-in limit of 3 local houts and 10 global houts. That is, the way that hout statues normally work is they can only spawn houts if there are no more than 3 houts in a certain area around them. And no more, and if there are 10 houts in the world dropped anywhere, they cannot spawn any houts. You know, the idea there being to prevent them from being, you know, exploited as just making these giant pools of houts that you can just go to and fully heal. But all that falls apart once you reach a couple hundred items dropped in the world. And they will just spit out houts. They'll still activate every 10 seconds, but they'll have no, they won't follow the limit to how many houts you can have at once. And once that happens, you just start accumulating large piles of houts. And you can just walk towards them for like a full heal. Those will be picking up, you know, 20, 30 at a time. Okay, we are almost 500 down for the day. Turned around somehow. I don't know how that keeps happening. I'm not pressing left, but I somehow end up getting stuck walking, or positioned to the left. The reason that matters is because I need to be walking in the same direction that Lawnmower is positioned to deal damage. So when that happens, I have to manually repress the button to turn around. I did find out how to disable Windows automatic updates in the group policy manager. Which is quite nice, because automatic updates were a very big issue when doing things like this, because computer would just turn itself on if you put it to sleep overnight and then turn itself off to update. And then you would lose everything that was going on. Which had happened a couple times in the past and was very annoying. But we shouldn't have to worry about that, because I turned off automatic updates. It's even possible because of Moonlord's heal? Yes, the heal is completely avoidable, Guts. We have been doing this for about 5 hours, and he has not healed a single time. If he was healing, I would assure you we would not have dealt as much damage as we have dealt so far. If you pay attention, in a moment here, after this laser, he's going to start sending out his tongue. He's going to shoot twice from his top eye. We're going to teleport away. And then we're going to teleport back. There was a small little tongue that you saw coming out there for a moment. That's what causes him to heal. That thing hitting you. It hits you, it gives you the Moonbite debuff, and then if you have the Moonbite debuff and his tongue is still extended, it will send back the healing leeches that heal him for 1,000. And if those things are not killed, then when they reach him, they will heal him for 1,000 each, and he can spawn up to 3 over the course of a single tongue cycle, if he hits you at the beginning of it. However, if the tongue never hits us, then we never get the Moonbite debuff, and as a result, he never spawns the leeches, and he never heals. Even if he does hit us, the leeches do not teleport with the rest of the Moonlord, nor does his tongue. Unlike, say, the True Eyes of Cthulhu, if you teleport away from the Moonlord, his tongue stays where it was before you teleported. And if the tongue isn't near you, it can't spawn, or the leeches will just instantly despawn. If they spawn at all. I'm not even sure if they'll even try to spawn if they're not near you. But they just go away. It sounds like a Rain World soundtrack. I feel like I'm at 5 Pebbles right now. But yeah, by using teleports, we can despawn or avoid them from spawning entirely. There are a lot of different ways you can avoid his healing. We've done it in a lot of different ways. When I killed him with a wooden bow, I just used a Celestial Starboard to outspeed them. His tongue travels at about like 82, 83 miles per hour, something like that. If you move faster than that, you can dodge the tongue. Moving faster than that is going to require a Shrimpy Truffle that is wet and flying diagonally. Asphalt with a couple speed buffs. A Celestial Starboard. A Minecart track with a Minecart upgrade kit. It's not easy to move that fast, but if you can just outspeed the tongue and it won't ever hit you. With the flare gun, I had used teleporters. I think I had flown up in the air as the tongue would come out, and then right before it hit me, I would recall back home, and then essentially rinse and repeat that over and over again. And that's also where I discovered that teleporting long distances would despawn the clots, which is nice. With the Copper Short Sword, we used a wet Shrimpy Truffle, because that's fast enough. And with the Copper Short Sword, we needed to get in to deal damage. Unlike the Flare Gun, where I could just keep a distance and shoot, I had to get up in his face to hit him with the Copper Short Sword, so I needed something that was a lot more mobile than just relying on flying away. And here we're just using teleporters. Unfortunately, because of the mechanics of the Lawnmower, I can't just fight the Moonlord normally. There's not really another way that I found that I think is remotely plausible that you could fight the Moonlord with a Lawnmower. And the reason for that, it's got nothing to do with the damage that the Lawnmower does. It's got nothing to do with the Moonlord, potentially killing you, or even the Moonlord's healing. Just in order to deal damage to the Moonlord in the first place, I don't see another way you could do this. And the reason for that is the Lawnmower cannot deal damage unless you meet two very annoying stipulations. It does not have a hitbox at all unless you are walking in the direction that the lawnmower is facing. You're holding down the movement key. So like right here, the lawnmower is facing to the right. If I'm not holding down the D key, the lawnmower does not have a hitbox. Not only do you need to be moving in the direction the lawnmower is facing, you also need to be standing on the ground. If you are even a pixel in midair, the lawnmower will not deal damage. You have to be on the ground. Which means I can't fly around and dodge and go in and hit the Moonlord. That doesn't work. You have to be walking on the ground. And without utilizing teleporters, I don't know how you would even deal damage to him. With Asphalt, you could probably deal damage to his hands, but like his top eye, there's no way you're getting up there to deal damage without a teleporter. Teleporters seem really OP. They are very strong. I would not be using them if I had an alternative, though. But my hand is kind of forced to rely on them. It was the same thing with, like, the twins in Retnazer. Like, it's just not possible. It wasn't possible to hit them. Lunatic Cultist was also a similar story. Like, they stay fixed in position near you. They're going to move to adjust with you, and, like, you just can't get up to them. But yeah, the lawnmower, because of that, that's the main thing that makes this awful. Because of that stipulation, this is drastically worse than like the Copper Short Sword was. The Copper Short Sword took 30-something hours to kill the Moonlord. On Expert, the Flare Gun took like 14, 15 hours on Classic, I think is how when I did Flare Gun only. I think I killed him on Classic. The Wooden Bow on Master took like 20 hours. Lawnmower is set up to take probably like 100, if not more, hours. That's more time than all of those combined. And that's like assuming I don't slip up a single time and let him heal. Because this is not an insignificant amount of focus that this requires. I need to dodge the laser, and dodge his healing. I can afford to slip up every once in a while with dodging the laser. I can't afford to slip up with dodging his healing at all. If he heals even a single time, it's catastrophic. And whether or not he heals is about a 3-second window. If I mess up for a couple seconds, it'll mess up hours of progress. And this is all underground. There's no chance of falling stars coming to hit him. There's no NPCs that are going to attack him. There's nothing else that's going to assist us besides just the lawnmower itself. And if it's not clear, I am manually doing all of this. There's no automation. There are switches on these teleporters that I'm selecting with Smart Cursor, and at the appropriate time, I am using them to teleport. And in my main teleporter, in the middle, there are 2 switches, one on the right side, one on the left side. If I move my cursor to the left, that activates the teleporter that takes me a distance away to avoid his healing. Alright, 700 down. Roughly. Thanks, SGMM. what made me do this challenge? It won a poll. So I've been beating the whole game, Guts. This is just the end of the game. And the answer is I put out a poll to decide what weapon to beat the game with. The options were between Paper Airplane, Wooden Hammer, Amethyst Staff, Wand of Sparking, and Lawnmower. Lawnmower won by a landslide. This is on Expert Mode, STMM. Or rather, it's on Journey Mode, set to Expert Mode. I haven't really been utilizing Journey Mode powers, but I did need to be on Journey Mode. Well, rather, the issue is that the Wall of Flesh is impossible to kill on any difficulty above Classic. Like, you just cannot deal enough damage to the Wall of Flesh with a Lawnmower by the end of the world on a large-sized world, unless you are on Classic. And that means, if I was not on Journey Mode, I would have to fight every other boss in the game on Classic, which is just really boring, because the Classic bosses are just not very interesting or difficult. So, by playing on Journey Mode, I can increase the difficulty to Expert or Master for a lot of the pre-hard mode bosses. So we're not just fighting everything on Classic. That's why we're on Journey Mode. I have utilized a couple of the Journey Mode powers. At the beginning of this fight, I researched the potions I was using, just so that we wouldn't have to worry about 80 hours in running out of a potion, and then that being annoying. It also, there was a point in time where the game bugged out and deleted one of my heart statues, and we had researched a heart statue to get it back. I used time control a little bit, and spawn rates adjustment a little bit, but for the most part, it's just been playing normally. This is also on the Don't Dig Up seed, and the reason we're on Don't Dig Up is because of time limits. If you weren't aware, on Don't Dig Up, and this is also true in Get Fixed Boy, but it's inherited from Don't Dig Up, there are no time limits for any boss. Normally, hi, MVRF. Normally, the Eye of Cthulhu, Skeletron Prime, the Destroyer, the Twins, all have a time limit, or an effective time limit. If you don't kill them by morning, they either run away and despawn, or become implausible to kill with the Skeletrons enraging. But on Don't Dig Up, that doesn't happen. It's considered to be always nighttime, for the purposes of bosses, and several other purposes as well. Which means you can just fight them indefinitely, which is very good, because it took several hours to kill Skeletron, and if we were not on Don't Dig Up, we would have to pause time in Journey Mode, which is fine. It's how we beat the game with the flare gun and the Copper Short Sword, but given that in 1.4.4 they added an option to play the game without pausing time, I decided to take that avenue and do it this way. Because yeah, if you don't have some method to mitigate either pause time or play on Don't Dig Up where time limits don't exist, there's no way in hell you kill the mech bosses. It took 12 hours to kill the Twins, 6 hours to kill the Destroyer, and I don't really remember how much Skeletron took, but probably like 8 or 9 hours, maybe? I don't know. Within a 9-minute night, there's no fucking way, no matter what you do, that you could ever kill them with a lawnmower. Even on the lowest difficulty, before time went out. But yeah, Don't Dig Up did make a lot of things more annoying and difficult than they needed to be. No, we effectively did not have, Traversing the surface is very annoying. Having to dig upward into everything and all the weird biome. The weird biome changes. There's the lack of NPC happiness, which is a bad thing, because that makes things a lot more expensive, effectively. You're paying full price for everything. The fact that falling stars kill you, which is very inconvenient and prevents our ability to do a lot of things. Now, it did make building the Wall of Flesh arena a lot easier, because there was a large part of the world that was essentially just pre-made Wall of Flesh arena. That's the one nice thing about Get Fix Boy and Don't Dig Up, is you basically have a free Wall of Flesh arena. That's safe from dangerous enemies spawning now. How am I supposed to kill the top eye? I have a teleporter positioned right there, right next to the top eye. I just need to rewire my teleporters when we change the eye we're attacking. I don't like soundtracks that have lyrics in them.
And whoever goes too deep into this has his share of that curse. It's a land that
just throws me off. I would prefer this didn't have the lyrics.
Even the stars up here in the sky look like
This is the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack, by the way, if you weren't aware. I just put on a playlist that had all the tracks. How long do you plan on doing this for each stream or each day? I want to do 3 streams a day for 3 to 4 hours each.
I love it very much.
And knock out 10,000 damage a day at least. I don't know how our DPS is going to change and how much we could get done in 10 hours once we get past the hands. But for the pre-hands Moonlord, this is just insufferable. I mean, I'm suffering it. It seems rather sufferable to me. Oh, did YouTube pause my playlist again? Without... Okay, no, the track is just very quiet. Okay. The audio level on the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack is really all over the place. Like, there's a song playing right now. I guess it just takes a while to build in. I know you're watching, Adam. What is that supposed to mean? Is there a world in which you think I don't know you're watching? I'm aware that you're there. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to. But, like, this is... I'm gonna stream it. And there's not really very much I can change about what I'm streaming to make this a much different experience. Like, this is just what the fight is. I get bored of doing this. Boredom is a strange thing. I exist outside of the concept of time as you understand it. So as a result, not really. My god, I'm still going? I'm not gonna stop. Hey Amethyst, how you doing? Like, yeah, I recognize this is not going to be a particularly exciting stream. There's not a lot. It's just doing the same thing very, very, very long, for a very, very long period of time. It's one of, if not just straight up the most difficult thing attempted to be done in Terraria. Like, there's a reason people haven't done this. It's really fucking difficult and time consuming. Physically and psychologically. And there's not really much I can do to change the viewing experience here. I mean, I put on music you can vibe to. That's about the extent of my my power there. I can't really put on. I mean, I could put on a video and then not watch it or not comment on it, but at that point, like, what? I'm not even really streaming. Like, you're just watching something without me or my input. Like, my gecko's asleep inside of her log. I can't really point a webcam at her right now. She's inside of her log. I can talk, but that's really about it. You don't really have to be streaming. No, I want to stream this. I can try to set up a macro? No, that's a recipe for disaster. Also, I don't want to do that. I'm not recording 100 hours of doing this to then upload to YouTube in some unlisted playlist. Like, I'm going to stream it. Did you start doing YouTube and streaming because you don't think I'm doing this for money? I like doing it. I don't know. Oops. Reviews for subscribers. I like doing it. Oh. Police interrogation? Oh. I can answer it. I mean, I started making videos because I like making videos. And then I started streaming because video making was annoyingly inconsistent in success rates and would spend a lot of time doing something that might just completely flop. And streaming is more consistent. Am I doing this from the very start of the stream? I'm not sure what that question means. I've been doing this attempt for a total of about 6 hours now. 5.5 hours. We've done about 5,500 damage. We started this yesterday. It's the same attempt. Imagine if I die at the very end. I think it would be exceedingly unlikely for me to get to the very end and then die. The most likely circumstances in which I would die would be situations in which I need to change something about the fight. Such as when I need to change the teleporter that I'm teleporting to, or as soon as the second phase starts. Once we get into the loop with the second phase, I don't think it's very likely that we would die. But the dangerous point would be as we're getting adjusted to the second phase. Okay, that's 1,000 down today. You can't even imagine anyone else doing this. That's a fairly unparalleled undertaking, yeah. I think most people would have given up trying before even finding a way to damage the Moonlord consistently. And with good reason, I would not recommend that anyone do this. Thanks, Devinix. The real question is, how many traveling merchants are we going to get before the Moonlord dies? What mode is this? This is on Journey mode set to Expert mode. The reason it's on Journey mode is because we've been beating the whole game like this, and if we were not on Journey mode, we would have to play on Classic mode, because the Wall of Flesh cannot be killed above Classic. But by playing on Journey mode, we can increase the difficulty for other fights. I probably could have shaved off like 50 hours of this fight by just playing on Classic. But I don't want to do that. By the end of the stream today, we'll have broken 210k. And we'll see how much more I feel up to doing. I'll probably go out, take a nap, and then come back and start again. Need to look into opinions on chiptune. I don't know what chiptune is. Isn't that like a Pokemon? No, Crickettune's the Pokemon. I don't know what chiptune is. I guess that begets the question, what is chiptune? Music genre, kind of like 8-bit. Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion on it. I mean, I'd probably like it, but I don't know. There aren't many genres of music that I just straight dislike. I don't like heavy metal at all. Really any metal music. And I'm not a huge fan of country music. And I'm not... I feel like that's about all that comes to mind as far as like entire genres. You know, obviously there'll be individual songs in other genres that I would like or dislike, but I don't know of any metal or country songs that I really like. Who would win an unbeatable, almost entity, practically a god equal to the bestiary versus a tiny grass-mowing machine not meant for combat? That remains to be seen. You have to tune in next week to Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I'm at the point of basically canceling everything on my schedule for the next, like, 2 weeks, just to carve out time for doing this. Aside from, like, I have a laser hair removal appointment, this Saturday. All these felt and damage so far is a light warmth, yeah. You can barely even see the Moonlord half the time. Well, because of the teleporting. It is very dark down here, and I don't like that. I'm glad we have Lucy to keep us company, though. My eyes are watering a lot. I usually sleep more than I did. I think I'm still kind of on a sleep deficit from when I spent a bunch of time knocking out the pillars the other day. But we're getting close to halfway done for today. Or, sorry, for this stream. It also looks like we're actually exceeding my initial damage estimate of 1,000 damage an hour. As we are currently 1,400 damage down. We're not exceeding it by much. But we're doing maybe more like 1,100, maybe 1,200 damage an hour at a stretch, which might not seem like much, but in the context of the fact that the boss has 217,000 hit points, doing that extra 200 damage an hour could shave off quite a few hours off of our final time. I think it largely has to do with how efficiently I am damaging these hands, because they behave very annoyingly, and it's difficult to hit them. Also, another thing, if you didn't realize, I am down an accessory slot. We're playing on expert mode, but I only have 5 accessory slots because I was not able to kill the wall of flesh on expert, which means I never got a demon heart, so I never got that 6th accessory slot. Which basically puts us back about 12 points of defense. Our defense should be 12 points higher than it currently is. As that defense, or that accessory slot would have been spent on a Flesh Knuckles that had the Warding Reforge. Which means we take about 8 extra points of damage per hit. 8 or 9. I forget how the math rounds. That is interesting. It seems to me that in the brief period of time between teleports, other enemies can spawn. If you paid attention there was briefly a lava slime that showed up to my right. So I think there are points in time where like the visual filter goes away. Because we get distance from the Moonlord, and I think during that, other enemies are able to spawn. We had an amethyst bunny show up earlier. However, given our position in the world and the fact that I don't believe blood moons or eclipses are able to happen during the Moonlord fight. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about, as in the center of the world here, a lava slime is not going to do anything to us. And I don't think eclipses can happen to even have the possibility of spawning other enemies, as if an eclipse or a blood moon could happen, I'm sure it would have happened by now in the hours we've been doing this. Oh. Huh. Okay, almost 1,500 down. It's 1,500 in about an hour 20. So yeah, we're slightly ahead of our DPS pace, which is good.
Hello everybody, this is Chris Christodoulou and you're listening to the Risk of Rain 2 album commentary. If you're not
No, I don't
familiar
want to
with
listen
my
to the
previous
album what the fuck?
commentaries, what's going to happen is
No. No. At the end of the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack playlist, there is a 2-hour long album commentary. No, let's just listen to the Dead Cells Bank. Looks like maybe 1,700 in an hour and a half, which would be about 3,400 over the span of 3 hours. Oh, I'm tired. Music faded out abruptly. Thanks, John Tomiwami. Jan Tomiwami. Hey, things with some connection. How's the motoring of Moonlord going? It is going. Beyond that, it's going very slowly, as expected. We have not allowed him to heal a single time, and as a result have made about 6,000 hit points of progress between yesterday and today. By the end of the day today, I hope to bring him down below 200,000 HP. That is the goal. Whether or not I have the energy for that, I'm not sure, but at the bare minimum, I want to do 10,000 damage today. I'm going to be going for, 3 and something hours of fighting him probably 3 times a day. Whenever I can afford to. So today, and sometime after another hour and a half, I'm gonna stop the stream, take a break, go take a nap probably, get a snack, and then come back to fight him again, and then do that again, take a break, eat dinner, come back at night. Night streams are probably with Gecko Cam. The issue is just that, like, the position of my gecko's terrarium really is not close to my PC at all. And especially her log is where she sleeps for most of the day, is on the far left side of the vivarium, and I am on the right side of it, and the thing is several feet long. And my computer is on the far right side of my desk, which is what I need to connect my webcam to. And so as a result, I can't really hook up a webcam to point at her log. But once she wakes up and is a bit more active at night, I can potentially turn on the webcam. But even then, it's still a bit iffy because even with pink lighting, she's still not as active as when it's completely dark out. And she still takes some time to wake up. Okay, almost 2,000 down for today, though. I was a little slow on the uptake there. I love the Promenade of Condemned music in the background. Yeah. I just got the Dead Soul. Dead Cell's playlist going, and it is really nice ambient music. The only thing that's annoying about it is that YouTube, for some reason, just decides to stop playing playlists after playing several videos sometimes, and it pauses them, and I have to Alt-Tab and give, like, a confirmation in a pop-up window, which is really annoying for things like this. I should just put the Dead Cells elevator music on loop. I like the elevator music. Yeah, the elevator music in the bank. Never gone to the bank before? Ah, okay. It's got really nice music in the bank. Is this the stream where I will beat Moonlord? No. No, it will probably be... 2 weeks before we actually beat Moonlord. Like the clock tower music. The clock tower music is nice. Dead Cells has a lot of really good tracks in it. Hey Shark Tails, how you doing? You good? That's good. I've been thinking about picking up a couple more games off the Steam Summer Sale before it ends. Because it's like one more day. Things I could play later, but... I don't know. I haven't seen anything that's like super piqued my interest. Oh, recommendations? I mean, I'm open to hearing them if you have any. Specifically things that are on a good sale, not just games in general. Because if the game's not on a good sale, then I could just buy it whenever, but... I'll probably pick up Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Because that was on a pretty good sale, and I heard from several people that it was a very good game, and the original Ori was fun, so I wouldn't mind playing the sequel. Alright, 2,000 down for today. Oh yeah, so I was really... the Yakuza bundle of Yakuza 0 to 2 is going for 20 bucks. I'll think about it. How much do they go for normally? I never really understood the malaise in Dead Cells, like in Boss Cell level 5. 20 bucks each. Okay. So you basically get buy one, get the other two free. I just didn't really get what the malaise was doing, because it seemed really easy to clear and keep down. And like I think it spawned enemies near me. Like when it started getting a little high, but I never got past like the 3rd or 4th bar of the malaise, because it always just mitigated itself. And I don't know that I'd go play more Boss Cell 5 unless I had to do the unless I was achievement hunting and there was a particular achievement I wanted to do on it. Like if there's a no-hit the collector achievement or something and I have to do that. But I'm not anywhere near the point of even trying that. Okay, another 1,000 or so damage, and then we'll assess how we're feeling. Malaise increases the damage you take. I noticed a bunch of pop-up symbols that would come up whenever malaise would increase. Is that like random debuffs, like increasing the damage you take, or decreasing the damage you deal, or like things like that? It felt weird, because the malaise just felt really easy to manage. There were so many elites all over the place, and like, you just kill enemies quickly and kill elites quickly, and then it clears after each boss. Goes down with a collection of cells. And then you would just, even if it got bad, you just find like a potion shop. Or a food shop, and then just buy the potion that reduces it. I don't know. It felt like completely inconsequential when I was doing Boss Cell 5. People that I play games with when making videos or playing games. I don't really make videos with multiplayer content that much. I mean, the most likely situation in which I would make a video in which I was playing games with other people would be playing with like people in a Discord call on my server, which would usually be like Bismarck, Clover, Marley, like the Rain Escape video. I was playing with them. But I mean, I have people that I just play games with. I have plenty of friends, unrelated to streaming, that I play games with. Like I have a group of friends that I play Magic the Gathering with, online on Tabletop Sim. Every week or two. We have Cube. And we usually just do random sealed stuff, or draft things, or play O Cube, or stuff like that. I have a friend who I play, I've been helping her play Rainworld, guiding her through the world. And sometimes we'll play like Halo together, or I'll watch her speedrun something, or something. I have friends that I play like D&D with, or tabletop games. I have a Blades in the Dark game that a friend I'm playing with some friends, which is about to end. And then Blades in the Dark is like this, how do I put it? Post-apocalyptic fantasy Victorian London. Where like you are essentially in a post-apocalyptic city, with the objective of making a gang that rises to prominence and makes money. But that campaign's about to end, and we're gonna start playing Monster of the Week. Somebody wanted to run Monster of the Week, which is... We haven't started it yet, as I only have a loose description. But it's like, it's a tabletop game based on shows like Supernatural, Stranger Things, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like a kind of modern fantasy mystery setting, where like you're working with or against supernatural forces to try to uncover and stop some paranormal or supernatural activity from going down. Get a friend who has to guide you through Subnautica. Subnautica is I need to go back and play more Subnautica. I was having a lot of fun exploring Subnautica, but it is somewhat exhausting to explore. Just the scale of everything in Subnautica. The micromanagement of food and water and breath and things like that. It's fun, but I have to be in a particular mood to want to get into that, because it's a lot to break off. I can't just play Subnautica for a couple minutes. If I start playing Subnautica, I'm playing Subnautica for hours. It looks too big. The world was very large. But it's an open world game. Like, I think it's supposed to feel really big and feel really expansive as part of the vibe and energy of it. But God, it is... There's just so much to go explore and do. And there's a degree of, like... You have to be willing to grind. Yeah. I have to be willing to commit a lot of time and like go out and like hunt and grind for resources and things like that, which I'm not always in the mood to do. That's a very specific mood to be in. I mean, just building the base that I made on stream. I played Subnautica on stream last week for the first time. And even just like building the base at the end was a really, really intensive process for what was basically just pick up materials, make boxes, and then lay things out. Because you got to deal with all sorts of inventory management, managing food while it's happening, deciding, you know, exactly the layout that you want, because it's going to be really difficult to change later. I feel like Subnautica is the type of game that I would not want to replay. At least not for a long time. Like, that first experience seems really fun, but then playing it again after that seemed like it would be exhausting. Because a lot of the initial charm of exploration and mystery has gone by that point. But yeah, I was helping a friend through Rainworld because it is a very why do I think that Noida sucked? I have gone into my thoughts on Noida several times. To give a brief overview of it, the game is unbelievably unfriendly to new players and has what I would consider to be well, just really shitty mechanics. And a complete middle finger to players trying to learn the game. The game really felt just very... How do I put this? So the game has nothing resembling a tutorial. There's no information the game gives you regarding basically anything in the game. Which works fine if the game is, you know, not particularly complicated. Or if the game does not punish trial and error or exploration. Noida is neither of those things. It is both a very complicated game and a game that very heavily punishes any mistakes or failures because you just reset and lose potentially like hours of progress. And for a game that does nothing to teach the player any kind of new systems, or really anything related to the game whatsoever, greatly punishes any amount of trial and error or exploring or trying new things. And is very complicated in a lot of its systems, especially once you get to like wand building and things. That's just inexcusable. Like a game can be 2 of those 3 things without an issue, or 2 of those 3 things and I can stand it, tolerate it, but if it's all 3 of those things, that's just inexcusable. And just demonstrates a colossal lack of respect for the people playing it. You know, a game like Rainworld is very light on information and is fairly complex and there's a lot going on. But the game doesn't really punish you. It encourages you to do trial and error. Like, the only lasting consequences of death is the karma system, and the karma system is not really that difficult to overcome, and you can disable it in settings if you really want to. And the Rainworld devs even realized that, like, the lack of information in the game was potentially off-putting to new players, and in the remix update, yeah, it's not hard to get karma. Like, dying isn't really that much of an issue, so the fact that the game doesn't really tell you very much, and it's like, hey, go out on your own and find out, that's not a problem, because the game... You're not punished for exploring. Whereas in Noida, it felt like any time that I tried to do something new, I was immediately punished for it, and the punishment was dying. Or otherwise, like, losing HP, or getting caught on fire, or blowing up, or things like that. It would not be remotely difficult to just have a button in the menu in Noida that said, Tutorial. And you would click on the button, and it would put you in a small pre-generated map in which it would go over some basic mechanics of the game and be like, hey, this is you. This is your hit points. You'll regenerate hit points when you get to the bottom of a level. Your spells consume mana, and like the more things you put on it, the more mana it'll consume. You can mix and match spells on wands. I have had 2 people that I have talked to that have played Noida for several hours and did not know that wand building was a thing, and that you could mix and match spells. Which is absurd, because that's like one of the main mechanics and main draws of the game. And if somebody can play for hours and not realize that that system exists, that's a problem. That's a major problem. Yeah, just like a basic it doesn't even have to be very complex. It can be like, hey, you have this wand, okay, now you pick up a different wand, or a spell, or something, and the game goes, oh, by the way, you can put this spell on your wand to change its effect. Here's a triple strike. You put the triple strike on it, and now you shoot 3 instead of 1. Or something like that. Games have a good balance between freedom and holding your hands at all time. Yeah, it's not even, like, that's not even hand-holding. That's just telling you what's going on. There's a reason that games have tutorials. Like, there's never been a point in time where I've played a tutorial in a game and disliked the fact that the tutorial was there. At most, I'll just want to, like, skip through it on subsequent playthroughs, but, like, the first time playing it, it's, they're usually very brief and short, and they just let you know what's going on, and that's important, and that's good. And, like, Noida would be fine if it was not all 3 of those things, between extremely punishing, with any time you make a mistake or try new things and explore, combined with a lack of information, and whatever the other thing I said was. Like, if it was something like Rain World, where, the whole world was very large and expansive, and you would die very easily, but, you would, like, checkpoint, at the end of each level, and you could go out and explore from there. I feel like that would play into exploring around with the pixel simulation thing a lot more, and it would be a lot more, of an exploration experience. Obviously, it would not be the same game. It would no longer be a roguelike, but I feel like, that sort of low information system works fine in a game like that. If the game, just gave you more information. Hold on, the playlist stopped for some reason. It doesn't even have to be a lot of information, just, some information. That's big. Because one of the other things with Noida, that was really off-putting is the complete absence of anything resembling a story, a plot, a motivation, anything regarding the world. I played for a little over an hour, and I had no idea who I was, why I was there, what I was trying to do. Anything whatsoever regarding the world, the character, the motivation, where I am, what I'm supposed to be doing. It was just respawn, walk up to the place, die, and then keep doing that. There was nothing. And unlike a game like Rain World, where it's like atmospherically justified in the fact that you're just some creature you don't have the ability to communicate. You can't understand written language. You get communicated with cryptic pictures, for atmospheric reasons, and you can even turn on tutorials and settings if, you want more than that. There's not an atmospheric reason in Noida. Like, you're just a guy. There can be people, like, you could have an NPC that you could talk to. You could have signs written that you could read. Hell, you could just have a fucking journal, a diary that you write to yourself, as like an auto-narrative, trying to understand what's going on. And yeah, I'm sure there's probably a decent game at the core of Noida. Like, if I spent a lot of time learning the systems and putting up with all that bullshit, I'm sure it could be somewhat enjoyable. But it's just absurd to put all that on players and then expect them to just go, oh yeah, you need to spend hours of your life trying to play this game before it can be fun. I think that just feels like the game isn't respecting you or your time. Like, usually in games, I love the learning process. Of trying to figure out how things work and, you know, identifying what you can and can't do, trying to push limits, see what works and what doesn't. In Noida, it felt like pulling teeth, because every time you would try to do that, you would just die and then lose 10, 20, 30 minutes of progress. Noida gives you too much freedom when you try to be free, it punishes you. I guess you could put it like that, yeah. Alright, 500 to go before we're at 3,000. It's hard to concisely summarize it like that because it's more nuanced than that. But I guess trying to put it briefly, that is a way that you could describe what I said. I mean, I left a 6-paragraph review on Steam explaining why I didn't like the game and the problems with it. And most of them were not related to, like, the gameplay at its core is bad. It's mostly related to, like, hey, this game doesn't respect you or your time, and it's basically just giving you a huge middle finger over and over again, and then expecting you to like it and keep doing it. When there's really no discernible reason that I could come up with as to why the game is designed like that. It's not difficult to put in a tutorial. It's not difficult to let the player know these things. The game just doesn't want you to do that. Doesn't want to do that for some reason. It says something when I would rather spend my time doing this than playing Noida. You know, I don't feel like describing it as giving the player too much freedom is accurate, because I feel like that's trying to sugarcoat it, and paint it in a much more positive light than I would, because that makes it sound like it's a very nice thing, when in reality it's more like, the game just refuses to tell you anything and keeps you in the dark about everything, rather than giving you freedom. Oh yeah, I mean, the problem is with a game like Noida, it's a very, like, it's a game that has, like, a strong cult following, and, people who really like games like that are very, hostile to anybody who has a dissenting opinion or who does not like the game. But in the absence of actually having a way to refute what I said, because I think pretty much all of what I said was quite valid, you just spam the clown emoji. Because that makes it seem like you're refuting their argument, I guess. Like, you can disagree with the criticisms I gave, but I think they're perfectly valid criticisms. Okay, 414 to go. I'm probably going to go a bit over 3,000 damage, because if my goal is to get him down below 200,000, I'm going to need to deal more than just that. So I will get him down to 210, and then see how much energy I have to keep going, and then stop whenever I feel like I've done enough. If I do about 4,000, I don't know. Getting down to 200,000 is a pretty steep hill to climb. Because that's basically a whole other hour. So I don't know if I'm going to get down to 200,000. I do need to make sure I maintain energy to do this 2 more times today. I can see his hand health bar, though, has, like, begun to visibly get down. There's a chunk of it that's pretty obviously missing. I'm doing this manually, Vortex. Having fun yet? I don't think any part of this is fun. But I did decide I was going to do it. I mean, it'll be satisfying to complete. Imagine a month from now, Lawnmower only Moonlord part 24. No, part 24 is going to be like a week from now. I'm streaming 3 times a day. Didn't I say this is my final dumb weapon playthrough? Yes. Once we are done with this, we are done, period. With low damage weapons. This is also, I mean, pretty much an unparalleled undertaking by myself or other people. I find it quite unlikely that anyone, after I do this, would then see this and then decide to beat the game with a lawnmower. Did I do the math on how long the fight takes? It's tough, Vortex Talon, because I'm not going to be dealing damage to all of his segments at the same rate. At the rate I am dealing damage to his hands, it would take about 200 hours. However, I suspect that I'm going to be dealing damage to his hands at the slowest rate. I think I'm going to deal damage to his top eye and his core a lot more consistently, because they maintain a consistent position, whereas the hands are constantly moving around, and therefore it's a lot more difficult to hit the hands. The hands are also not the bulk of the Moonlord's health. The bulk of the Moonlord's health is in his top eye and his core. I would suspect somewhere in the ballpark of 100 hours. I mean, this will really increase my hours on Terraria. I mean, not as much as you would think. I already have 4,500 hours. This is only going to add another, like, 100, 150 hours. Although, actually, I guess I am keeping the game running, but I'm also keeping my computer asleep a lot of the time. Which doesn't increase my hours when the computer's asleep. Yeah, I don't even think anybody else has even, like, beaten the game with a copper short sword or a flare gun in the time since I've done that. I find it very unlikely that anyone would, then decide to beat the game with a lawnmower. Or even kill the Moonlord with a lawnmower. Like, I know some people have killed the Moonlord with a copper short sword. Usually by setting up a system, that does it automatically with teleporters. How did I beat Mechs with the time limit? This is on Don't Dig Up. There is no time limit. The Remix Seed removes time limits for bosses. So I'm gonna beat Mutant with a wooden bow. I don't know what Mutant is. That's not very long, though. I mean, when I killed the Moonlord with a wooden bow, that took like 20-something hours. I don't know what that is. I haven't played Phogos. If it only took 8 hours to beat... Is Mutant a boss, or is Mutant the whole mod? It's a boss? Okay. Did they use, like, damage over time arrows? I know when I had done the Moonlord with a wooden bow, I just used, like, the on-fire arrows. It was with armor though, so that's a slight damage increase. What is Mutant? Like, how much health does Mutant have? I don't... I'm not familiar, I haven't played Fargos. At 8 hours, is that like an early hard mode boss? It's the final boss and you can't AFK it. Those numbers don't line up. Unless the boss just has really low HP. Because if you don't use damage over time arrows... Oh, endgame armor just had a wooden bow as a weapon. Did he use, like, Luminite arrows? Or, like, really high base damage arrows? Like, there has to be something here that is increasing the damage, because the wooden bow would not kill an endgame boss in 8 hours unless you had something that was causing its damage to be increased drastically. Because the wooden bow ostensibly deals like 2 DPS. You know, you add in damage over time effects, it adds whatever the damage of the dot is. Or if you had a base damage arrow, an arrow that had very high base damage, that would potentially increase the bow's effectiveness quite substantially. To the point that it would deal relatively high damage. I would suspect it was either due to... It was probably just a really high damage arrow. But I do think it's also very different fighting a single boss in isolation with a weapon and doing the entire game. Like you said, they had endgame armor when they were doing that. It's very different fighting a boss and essentially just taking whatever gear you want, optimized for endgame, as opposed to fighting a boss and taking whatever gear you can get with the weapon that you were using. Having done a lot of the, like, individual, you know, fighting bosses with weak weapons and doing the whole game with a weak weapon, it's a much different experience doing the whole game. Off the top of my head, what's most of my gear? Hollowed Mask, Valhalla Knight Breastplate, Valhalla Knight Greaves, Shiny Stone, Vein of Confusion, Hero Shield, Berserker's Glove, Cross Necklace. With a regen potion, pumpkin pie, and iron skin potion. Yeah. We are fighting on expert, but we only have, and they're all reforged rewarding, of course. We're fighting on expert, but we only have 5 accessory slots because we never fought, because we couldn't kill. A good example of what I was just talking about. We could not kill the Wall of Flesh on expert mode. This is on Journey mode set to expert difficulty. It's impossible to kill the Wall of Flesh above Classic with a Lawnmower. It's not happening. It took like 80-90% of the world just to kill him on Classic. So we never got a Demon Heart. So we're basically down an accessory slot, which basically means we're down 12 points of defense. I also swap in the cross necklace with the treasure magnet to pick up hearts whenever they get distant. Because sometimes they don't get conveyor belted over properly. Yeah, one of the other reasons I'm doing this is I like doing things that I feel like nobody else would be able to do or would be willing to do, because a lot of the challenges that I've done, like any moderately or highly skilled player could do, right? Like other people have done hardcore legendary mode. How did I do Wall? We walked at him with a lawnmower until he died. You can go watch the Wall of Flesh stream to go see exactly how I did it, but like it was not easy. It required a very large amount of setup. Then you could kill Wall of Flesh with melee speed modifiers. What does that mean? How do you attack something with a melee speed modifier? Do you mean for the lawnmower? The lawnmower is not a melee weapon. Melee speed does nothing to the lawnmower. It's not a melee weapon. It is a classless weapon. Melee damage buffs do not affect the lawnmower. The sharpening station does not affect the lawnmower. The magma stone does not affect the lawnmower. It is in no way a melee weapon. It is a classless weapon. You cannot improve its damage in any way, aside from using armor penetration from a Sharptooth necklace. Or global damage modifiers like the Eye of Cthulhu taking additional damage when it's near death, or Selenian spinning taking triple damage. I think it's triple damage. I'll get the exact number. But no, melee speed would do nothing. Yeah, if it was not classless, we would be using Ichor Flasks and a Sharpening Station, and as a result, our damage would be considerably better than it currently is. Because we would actually be getting armor penetration, which means specifically against the Moonlord's hands, we would be dealing more than 1 damage a hit, because they only have 40 points of defense, and if you have a Sharpening Station and an Ichor Flask, that's 27 points of defense penetration. If you add in the Sharptooth Necklace on top of that, you get to 32 points. Which means he would only have 8 defense, which would reduce my damage by 4. No. Avenger Emblem damage boosts do not affect classless damage. Despite saying it boosts all damage by 12%, that only applies to magic ranged melee and summon damage. It does not affect classless damage. As far as I can tell. We've done a bit of testing between the flare gun and lawnmower, and as far as I can tell, no damage boosts affect either one. I first realized this when I was doing flare gun only stuff, and I tried to stack over 100%, or actually just 50% really, I think, classless damage boosts, and it does not affect the flare gun's base damage. Similarly, classless damage also cannot crit. But yeah, there's no meaningful way to increase the lawnmower's damage. And even if I could like, an Avenger emblem wouldn't do anything. Because the Lawnmower has 8 base damage to begin with. The Moonlord has 40 defense on his hands, and that's his lowest defense area. I would need to boost my damage to 22, up from 8, which is almost a triple damage boost, just to deal 2 points of damage instead of 1 to the Moonlord. And I don't even think you can get 200-something% classless damage buffs. I leave the game open and pause it. There's no way I would do it in one stream. Speaking of that, this stream is not going to be going on for terribly too much longer. I'm going to be streaming multiple times throughout the day and whittling him down gradually. We've done almost 3,000 damage this stream. I'm going to do a bit over 3,000 damage. But at most, I would be streaming for another hour. Do I plan on playing more Terraria mods? Not anytime soon. I might at some point, but certainly not anytime soon. Alright, 22 more to go, and then we'll have done 3,000 damage today. Yeah, one thing that might not be immediately obvious, the main obstacle here is preventing the Moonlord from healing. If you didn't know, the Moonlord does heal. He has a self-healing mechanic tied to his tongue that he sends out. Which is very easy to not notice when you're playing the game normally. It's a very janky healing mechanic that requires several different factors to be true, and even if he does heal, he only heals for like 1,000 to 3,000 hit points, which when you're dealing, 1,000 DPS is really easy to ignore. Theoretical kill time? I've estimated it'll be somewhere around the ballpark of 100 hours. It's difficult to get a theoretical kill time, though, because we don't have accurate information. All we have is our DPS on the hands, and our DPS on the hands is not going to be the DPS on the top eye and the core. Our DPS on the top eye and the core will probably be better than our DPS on the hands, hopefully. Which means, calculating a kill time for his entire HP based on the damage we're dealing to these two segments is not going to be very accurate. But yeah, that tongue that just showed up there for a moment, it's the reason why we keep teleporting off to the side. If that tongue hits you, you get the Moonbite debuff, and if you get the Moonbite debuff, the Moonlord will begin to spawn healing leeches from his tongue, and he'll send them back to his mouth. If they make it back, the leeches have 400 HP. He will heal for 1,000 HP per leech. He can spawn at most 3 leeches per tongue cycle. It'll spawn 3 if he hits you right at the beginning, and then it stays out the entire time, and you don't kill any of the leeches. He'll heal for 3,000. In his second phase, it stays true, but because of jankiness, a single tongue hit can heal for 6,000, because the debuff applies to the next tongue being sent out, because of the frequency with which he sends the tongue out. It goes out more often in his second phase. And there are a lot of points of failure to that healing. If you just kill the leeches, which is what you'll typically do in a normal playthrough, they only have 400 HP. when you're using weapons from the pillars, dealing 400 damage is not difficult. You'll probably kill them without even realizing it. There's so much going on, it's easy to not even notice they exist. And even if they do make it back to him, he only heals for 1,000. You know, the amount of damage you deal, it's very easy to just completely ignore the heal for 1,000 and not even realize that it happens. So a lot of people don't even realize the Moonlord does heal. However, obviously, when you're playing with low damage, killing them is not an option, and neither is just swallowing the damage for 1,000. So you need to prevent swallowing the heal for 1,000, because 1,000 damage, or 3,000 hit points every 30 or so seconds is not something you can stomach with this low damage. So you have to prevent it. And there are several ways to prevent it. Based on what I said, you could probably guess 2 or 3 of them. There are even more than that. The easiest one, which is kind of what I'm doing now, it's not working completely consistently, and we're relying on a second strategy as a backup, is just to avoid the tongue hitting you entirely. If the tongue doesn't hit you, you never get the Moonbite debuff, and he never heals, because that debuff is a requirement for the leeches to spawn in the first place. Most of the times I've done low damage stuff, I've revolved around dodging the tongue. I'm actually kind of doing a different thing here. But like when I did Wooden Bow, when I did Flare Gun, when I did Copper Shortsword, all of those I just avoided the tongue entirely, and as a result, the Moonlord was incapable of healing. But obviously that's not always going to be an option. You can't always just dodge his tongue. Sometimes, like right now, I have to position myself in a way where it's just not viable to completely avoid it. So we have a different alternative. In 1.3, a very common solution was to use the nurse to cure the debuff as well. This was before the nurse got her big price increase in 1.4. It was very popular in combination with like the nurse cheese box, because the nurse would cost a couple silver, and you could basically just sit directly underneath the Moonlord, heal with her with no cares in the world. And he would never heal because you would just be curing the debuff as soon as you got it, so we would never spawn the leeches. And that was a very popular strategy. But now that the nurse's price has increased, it costs around 20 gold per heal to cure the debuff, and that's just not remotely maintainable over a long period of time. And it's kind of lame and cheesy, so I don't want to do that. How many streams do I think the entire fight will take? I don't know. I mean, if I'm streaming for 10 hours a day, and I've estimated it'll take around 100 hours, and I'm streaming 3 streams of around 3.5 hours each, 3 hours, something like that. 10 streams, which would be about 10 days. But again, that's a very rough estimate based on, you know, my current DPS estimate from his hands. I could estimate how long the hands will take pretty reasonably. There's about... I'm going to stream again today? Yes, I'm going to be streaming probably 3 times a day for the duration of the Moonlord fights. Let's see, 37,500, 37, 7,500, 7,750? About 7,750 damage between 77,500 HP, I think, between the 2 hands. If we're dealing about 10,000 damage a day to these hands, it'll probably take about 8 days to kill the hands. But like I said, making any estimate is kind of futile. It's going to take a long time, such a long time that it's not really worth estimating, because it's not going to be an accurate guess. We don't know all of the information yet, so we can't accurately judge how long the fight will take. We've dealt 3,000 damage so far. I'll see how much energy I feel like I have. Did the fucking playlist stop again? God, YouTube, stop! Keeps just pausing my playlist with no reason. Just because I haven't, like, clicked on it for a little while. Yeah, I've talked about this before, but the reason we have to use teleporters here, there's not really a way that you could do this fight differently, I think, with a lawnmower. And it's got nothing to do with needing to avoid his healing. It's got nothing to do with taking damage or needing to dodge the Moonlord. It's because of the mechanics of the lawnmower itself. They just... It doesn't... It's not a normal weapon. It doesn't deal damage normally. You have to be on the ground, moving in the direction that the lawnmower is currently facing. If you are in the air at all, the lawnmower doesn't have a hitbox, it can't deal damage. So you have to do something like this, where you're just walking on the ground towards the thing you're hitting. I can't, you know, fly and jump around and try to position myself there, because then his hitbox won't be in a position I can hit it. Particularly with the top eye and the core, because they try to stay above and below you. Like, I can run to the side on asphalt or something, and I could potentially find a way to hit the hands doing that, but I could not do that for the top eye and the core. Next up, I should give the lawnmower an upgrade. Depends if the devs are even aware that this is happening. My internet is currently dying. It seems to have fixed itself. I'm streaming in 720 at a lower bitrate than I usually do, to try to help alleviate any inconsistent internet issues, because I've noticed I've been having some recently, but that's the first one I've had this stream. I just dropped 267 frames, not too many, but a little weird, because this really is not very intensive on my internet, streaming at 1280. Are you using a macro? No. I don't think a macro would be able to activate these teleporters with the accuracy that I'm activating them. To dodge attacks or his healing. Okay. I think I will cut off at the 3-hour mark. Which is in about 13 minutes. That'll keep us on pace to do the 10,000 damage for the day. And it also makes sure I don't get too tired. If I feel up for it, maybe I'll stream for longer on the subsequent streams today. I'll probably deal 3,500. More or less. Wait for Lawnmower only Moonlord part 75. Nah, we're already, let's see. Percentage-wise, we've done about 7,500 damage. Which means we're already, what, 3% of the way done? Something like that. And this is basically between, we've done 3 streams. Like, this is less than 1 day of progress. We'll probably do about 5% of progress per day. Now that we're in the full swing of things. And that's on what I predict to be the slowest part, which is the hands. Once we kill the hands, I think our progress is going to increase quite a lot. Speed-wise. What I'm probably going to do is leave the hands with a low amount of HP, maybe like 10 or something. Start whittling down the top eye, and then go back to kill the hands when we want to activate phase 2. Because I'd rather not activate the True Eyes of Cthulhu before we need to. I'm also, now that I think about it, I'm going to need some system to allow me to dodge the laser when I'm attacking the top eye. Top eye more problematic damage? No, definitely not. I don't think this can be true at all. We have a teleporter set up right where the top eye is. As soon as we go there, he's going to hover up a bit and go directly into our damage area. It'll be a lot similar to Retinazer, I think. And Retinazer was much easier to damage in his second phase when he stayed directly above us than in his first phase when he was like diagonal to us, from what I remember. The problem with the hands is, as you can see right here, they don't sit still. I can't damage the hands most of the time that they exist. I have to wait for them to line themselves up while I build a teleport for the core. That's the neat part. There's already a teleporter on top of the core because of, this is where we fought the twins. And there's, that was our one of our Spasmatism teleporters, and there's already, one positioned at pretty much exactly the right spot to attack the core, right there. It might look like it's a little low, but remember that the Moonlord's going to sink down as soon as we teleport down there, because he's going to try to push the core underneath us. And as long as we're moving straight vertically, I don't think he's going to move horizontally at all. But yeah, this is... These hands are a huge pain in the ass to attack. And is the main reason this is taking forever. We're dealing like a third of a DPS or something like that. It'll feel so weird to come back to normal weapons after this. I mean, I'm probably not going to play Terraria for a while after doing this challenge. So I probably won't come back to normal weapons for a bit. I'll probably play some other games for a while. Another 6 or so minutes, and then I'll cut off for the day. Or for this stream. Take a break, and then stream again in a bit. What time is it for me? It is currently 11:10 a.m. I am on the east coast of the US. It looks like I do about 3,400 damage every 3 hours. Which means if I do that 3 times a day, I'd reach the 10k goal per day. another minute or so. I think I'll call it after this cycle here. Let's go. Okay. $209,583. Look like the number we were at. I'll take a break and continue this in a few hours. Bye, everyone.